Chat, 4 games into the season, I'm already calling it, we are about to have one of the craziest MVP races we have ever seen. And I understand it is very early into the season, but the stats that some of these players and the season-long performances that some of the NBA's best players are about to put on, or at least looks like they're about to put on, is absolutely insane. So I think the story has to start with Victor Wembanyama. Victor Wembanyama so far, 4 games, 31 points, 14 rebounds, 3 assists, a steal and a half, and 4.8 blocks a game. 4.8 blocks a game. He's having roughly around 7 stocks a game, y'all. Now, you might be asking, what about the efficiency, man? Who cares about them points if you're not getting them efficiently? And I understand this is accuracy, but the field goal percentage is at 60%. He's shooting 36% from 3, taking much less threes, by the way, which I think is a good sign. A player of Wemby's caliber should not be taking 9 threes a game. That's kind of crazy. Also, getting to the line 10 times a game, shooting 80% at the line. Absolutely insane numbers. I think just from, I understand defense is way more than just stats, but a player averaging 5 blocks and 1 or 2 steals a game, and even outside of that, just watching him play, he is by far the best defender in the league. He is the runaway for DPOY, barring health for all of this, obviously, and hopefully Wemby, outside of this season, but throughout his whole career, is as healthy as he can be. But he is the runaway for DPOY. His MVP case is the fact that he's averaging 30 a game. And again, it goes beyond just looking at the box score. He genuinely has an argument right now, currently, right now, as a top 5 offensive weapon in the game. Maybe not as a playmaker, but given what Wemby provides, the mismatch nightmare that he is, the rim presence that he is, the lob threat that he is, right, the isolation scorer that he is, all these different things, you can make a legitimate argument that Wemby currently is a top 5 offensive weapon in the game while being by far the best defensive player in the game, right? All while playing 32 minutes a game. So he may be actually still on minutes restrictions, all while the San Antonio Spurs so far are 4-0. And again, I understand that we are still early into the season. There's still time for, is Wemby going to hold this up? Is this all sustainable? Chances are, a lot of the performances we're seeing from these first 2 weeks, these numbers are a little bit inflated, and they probably will regress to the mean. But regardless, I think the point still stands. If you've watched Wemby this year, he has clearly taken a leap. And even if his numbers do regress, I don't expect them to regress insanely from the numbers he's putting up. Like, maybe it goes from 31 to 26 to 27. Maybe it goes from 13 to 11 to 12. Maybe the blocks go from 4.8 to 4.2. Because I genuinely think that's sustainable. But yeah, so what is that? 27, 12, and 4? With the impact that he provides, I still think that genuinely has an MVP case. Right? As long as he's efficient, as long as they're winning games. And mind you, De'Aaron Fox still isn't, you know what I'm saying? They still don't have De'Aaron Fox. And even if they do, because there's rumors about trading De'Aaron Fox, if they can get better by trading De'Aaron Fox, whole different video. I ain't gonna lie. I don't want to dive into that too much. But long story short, we may even just be seeing the tip of the iceberg with the San Antonio Spurs, right? But that's just one player. And I believe the MVP odds came out today, and he's number 2, right? Now let's talk about the reigning MVP, SGA. Because so far, again, monster numbers from Mr. SGA. 35 points, shooting 52% from the field, 85% from the line, along with 5 assists, 6 rebounds, still providing really good two-way value, leading probably the best team in the league. I think so far it's been pretty clear that they're the best team in the league. But SGA is still SGA. I don't know. Like, it kind of feels crazy that I'm not as impressed with these numbers after reading Wemby's, but SGA is still SGA, right? 35, 5 and 6, insane efficiency, mid-range god, right? And then we got to go to, a player that's won a lot of MVPs recently, Nikola Jokic. Now, Nikola Jokic has had a slow start to the season, y'all. Like, when we talk about these MVP discussions from these first couple of games, Jokic's name is not at that top of the list, which is insane given that it's Jokic. But mind you, this is Jokic having a slow start to the season. 20 points. Okay. Very, very big drop from 30. But again, we are still early into the season, right? Efficiency is still there, right? Efficiency, he's having a pretty tough start from the 3-point line. But this is a slow start, averaging 15 rebounds and 12 assists. Jokic's slow start is still him leading the league in rebounds and assists. Put that into perspective. I'm just saying, right? And then we got to go to the Greek Freak, man. We got to go to the Greek Freak. Because I ain't going to lie, this stat line is probably the main stat line that's going to give Wemby a run for its money in terms of how crazy this is. So, 4 games into the season, Giannis is averaging 36 points, 14 rebounds, 7 assists, shooting 70% from the field. And again, I don't even think these numbers do him justice because when I've seen Giannis play, he has, you kind of see it with the assists, but again, playmaking definitions, all of that. Giannis's skill progression has been so fun to watch. And I really do think, given all the hype that Wemby has, it really is just calling me back to how much we've taken Giannis for granted. Now, what do I mean by that? When we talk about Wemby, I think the allure is how he's able to move and the skill set that he has at his height while still being able to take advantage of his physical gifts, right? Being 7'5", but, you shouldn't be dribbling like that, right? You know what I'm saying? He shouldn't be shooting like that. These are weaknesses that a player of his height, of his physical acumen should have, but he doesn't. And I think because Giannis has been in the league for so long, because Giannis has been dominant for so long, we have truly taken for granted how much of a unicorn Giannis is, because that same argument really does apply to Giannis. Giannis should not be moving the way that he's moving for a player that traditionally should be a power forward, a center. You know what I'm saying? A half-court player, but he has transitioned and has become one of the greatest, one of the most dominant transition players in the league, full stop. In history, full stop. And I understand this is saying a lot. We're talking about LeBron levels of dominance in the transition, in the paint. And I know, again, that's saying a lot because I just mentioned LeBron. But that's how good Giannis has been. This is a guy that's able to bring up the ball, create for himself, has a post game, can play make, can pass. All these different things. This ain't 2021 Giannis anymore, y'all. This ain't even 22 Giannis. I think right now, we are seeing kind of the progression that LeBron had from, Miami LeBron to Cleveland Bron. Or the second round trip back to Cleveland. Where, he's still a good defensive player. In the case of Giannis, probably is a better defender than LeBron in those years. But the offensive progression, him becoming more skilled, is really showing its ass right now in the best way possible. Right? So when I look at Giannis, I still think he provides a lot of two-way value if you've been watching the games. But his skill is catching up. Not even catching up, it's just progressing while his physical dominance, his physical capabilities are still there at the age of 31. And I think we are seeing, I don't know if it's peak, because again, we've seen some crazy years from Giannis. But we are seeing a tremendous player having an MVP caliber season so far. And based off of his performances in years past, again, even if the numbers regress, I still see Giannis being able to average potentially a career high in points, right? Maybe he goes down from 36 to 31, 32, maybe 33. I still see him averaging 12 to 14 boards. Still see him averaging 6 to 8 assists. I still see him averaging 60+% from the field. Like these are things that I think are going to carry over past the 4-game sample size that we have right now, right? Like that's just what it is. I also don't want to forget Luka, because Luka, oh my God. Chat, I understand we're just looking at 2 games, but look at these stats. It is annoying me that he's out for a week, because the start to all of these crazy starts, Luka still may have had the craziest start to the season. And again, that is saying a lot. First 2-game average, 46 points, 9 assists, 12 rebounds, shooting 62% from the field. Getting to the line 15 times is insane. But my goodness, y'all. Look at these performances that we're seeing. And I believe someone called it out in my comment section earlier. I think Tyrese Maxey's putting up some crazy numbers too. Yeah, Tyrese Maxey, across these 4 games, mind you, the Sixers are 4-0, by the way. Which that may be another video of itself. Tyrese Maxey is averaging 38 points. He's leading the league in scoring, by the way. Outside of Luka. I don't know why Luka doesn't count, but 38 points, 8 assists, 46, 47, 87. While the Sixers are 4-0. With Embiid being in and out of the lineup already, by the way. So maybe Tyrese Maxey is in these conversations. Like I said, everything that I've seen from the beginning of this season points to a historic MVP race. We're seeing a lot of guys that have been perennial MVP candidates still put up perennial MVP numbers. Because I think Giannis and Jokic are from that early 2020s class of MVP candidates. They're still going strong. SGA is a newcomer into the MVP conversations, but SGA is still going to be there. I think Luka is also in that early 2020s class, still going strong, right? Embiid is kind of out of there unless proven otherwise. But now we're seeing the new crop of young players getting into this conversation with Wemby and apparently with Tyrese Maxey. And I am just very interested to see how the conversation is going to go, how the conversation or what the conversation will lean into this year, because over the last couple of years, there's been, a lot of conversations about voter fatigue, about inconsistencies in voting, this, that, and the third. And the MVP discussion every single year is so interesting to me because it gets so toxic, gets so fucking toxic. But then by the time the playoffs come, literally no one cares. Like, literally no one cares because they wait too long to give it out. That's a whole nother topic, but they just wait way too long to give it out to the point where when whoever gets the MVP, we are like, I'm just remembering this right now. It's kind of pissing me off. SGA didn't get his MVP award till like Game 6 or Game 7 of the series against the Nuggets. Or it may have been after that series, which is insane. So at that point, who the fuck cares? We're trying to see who wins the series. We're trying to see who moves on. You know what I'm saying? So, regardless, the conversation always gets nasty every single year. It is so interesting to me how conversations shift within the MVP award. And then we get into this routine of like, oh, awards don't really matter. But if it didn't matter, why is everyone so riled up about it? I don't know. I always think this is the most interesting conversation. And I think with the performances that we're about to see, it's about to get insane. It's going to be one of the most toxic conversations we've seen in a minute. I'm mainly interested to see how people handle the statistics conversation. Because obviously, I think for a very long period of time, it was a best player on the best record award. Like, literally consistency wise, that's where the award leaned to, right? But I do think there's been more nuance added, honestly, ever since the Russ MVP, where people are looking at these individual performances and saying, yo, this motherfucker is not on a top seed in the league, but he is putting up insane numbers. He is having an insane performance. We cannot just not look at his performance because he doesn't have team wins. And I think that is a good progression in the conversation. But I think now, and it'll get answered this year, now that everyone, for lack of a better term, or to simplify the argument, is putting up insane numbers, how do we value these numbers? How do we talk about who's better between, you know, what Giannis is doing versus what Luka's doing versus what Wemby's doing when the numbers are this crazy? You know what I'm saying? Because before it was a case of like, yo, this dude is putting up the best numbers in the league. He just doesn't have the team wins. Let's look at this. But now that everyone is putting up crazy numbers, I genuinely think we may have to regress back to talking about winning more. I don't know. Because when you bring up these stats, it's just like, okay, putting up crazy numbers, but the MVP conversation is always a relative conversation. It's relative to what other players in the league are doing, the performances that other players in the league are having. So when you bring that up, and you bring up, you know, oh, I can't believe Wemby isn't, you know, leading MVP with the stats that he's putting up. And then I bring up what Giannis is doing. And then I bring up what Luka's doing. I think we honestly just kind of have to revert back to talking about team accomplishments. Or at least that's what I think the conversation will end up being. But with that being said, let me know what y'all think about the MVP conversation. Who do y'all think is going to win the MVP? If I had to pick an MVP, a couple days ago I made a video saying it was SGA. But Wemby and Giannis, boy, Wemby and Giannis, man, I'm going to have to switch to Wemby. I might genuinely have to switch to Wemby. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'm out of here. Peace.